This phone, the S25 FE, has been out for almost 6 months now. And whilst this phone confuses me totally, and I'm going to do a separate video on why Samsung even bothers to make an FE phone, but at this price point, this is a solid phone. And here's my experience of using it over the last 6 months.
So in terms of design and build, the Galaxy S25 FE carries forward the same design as its predecessors, and it closely resembles the Galaxy S25 Plus. The phone measures at 6.7 inches, and it has a premium clean appearance with a silvery finish around the bezels, and I'd say it's definitely comfortable to hold. This one, it's lightweight and it's definitely comfortable to hold. It doesn't dig into your hands, and of course it does carry over many of the other design features that we get on the S25 series. So we get the IP68 rating, which means it's protected against dust and water. So yeah, you're not worrying about a very well built phone here or design here. You know, it feels very premium. But sticking with the display, one notable upgrade this year is the refresh rate. While Samsung hasn't officially labelled this as an LTPO panel, the display can definitely drop as low as 1 Hz when idle, compared to just 60 Hz minimum on last year's model. So this is a genuine improvement, and I have actually noticed that the battery life is definitely better on the S25 FE compared to the S24 FE. Brightness sits at around 435 nits with manual control, and can boost it to nearly 1250 nits in auto mode under bright conditions. The display also supports HDR10 Plus content. Overall, this is definitely a Samsung display. It's sharp, vibrant, and it's well suited to all types of media consumption, gaming, and general day-to-day use. Also on here, we've got stereo speakers, and I would say the audio performance is definitely a clear improvement over the S24 FE. Definitely sounds fuller, a little bit more bass, and it gets a little bit louder as well. So I would definitely say that audio is definitely a step up here. So in terms of performance, we've got the Exynos 2400 chipset. So it's a step up from last year's F24 FE. So we've definitely got an improved chipset here. And I would say in day-to-day usage, you know, you're not noticing huge levels of difference here. But I would definitely say feels very snappy. Combined with One UI 8, it feels very smooth and snappy. But I have encountered some issues when playing intensive games here. Definitely feels like the CPU is throttling, and it does get a little bit hotter. Now, this was definitely a complaint that we had on the S24 FE2, so it's interesting. Obviously, that chipset isn't your Snapdragon 8 Elite that we get in the S25 Ultra, obviously, or anything like that. So you definitely do notice, if you're using the phone for a long period of time, playing real intensive graphic games, then you're probably going to notice a difference. And another complaint I'd have here is around storage. The base is 128 gigabytes. Come on, Samsung. And to be fair, come on every other manufacturer. The base should be 256 gigabytes on all phones these days. You know, 128 just isn't enough anymore. Now, in terms of battery, the capacity has been increased to 4,900 milliamp hours. And in my testing, I've definitely been getting good levels of battery life here. You know, it's definitely a full day phone. But that's about it. This isn't going into 2 days of usage. I would say I've had to charge it after a heavy day's usage at least, you know, once a day. So just bear that in mind. But we've definitely seen an improvement in charging, where it's gone from 25 watts to supporting 45 watt charging. So yeah, you can get fast charging on here compared to last year. And you know what? I actually think that is a big upgrade to have. Now, in terms of camera, I wouldn't say there's anything spectacular here. And to be fair, it's relatively unchanged from last year's model. We get the 50 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel 3x telephoto. Front facing camera has been upgraded to a 12 megapixel sensor. That was one complaint from the S25 FE. The selfie quality wasn't great. So if you take a lot of selfies, then yeah, I would say this would be definitely worth an upgrade. Now, in terms of camera performance, the main camera produces solid photos, good, sharp, dynamic range here. Color accuracy is very reliable. Although I have noticed that indoors, photos can be a little bit muted, a little bit flat, but when in good light and outside, you get excellent photos. For video, the S25 FE shoots 4K across all the cameras, which is really nice. The main camera supports 4K at 120 frames per second and 8K at 30 frames per second. And again, similar to the photos, outdoors, daylight videos are excellent. Now, definitely a plus here is software support. The FE is getting 7 years of software updates, which is excellent. You know, it's almost becoming the standard now, which is really good. Long gone are the days where a phone was only supported for a couple of years. So well done, Samsung.
So would I recommend anybody to pick up the S25 FE? Well, if you want a solid phone, nothing spectacular, it's just a good all-round solid phone, and you want to buy a brand new phone without spending absolute fortunes, and absolutely, this does the job. This phone will suit 99% of people. But there is a broader question around why Samsung even produces this, because you've got the S25 Plus model, which at the time of recording this in February 2026, you can find crazy low price deals on the S25 Plus, whether that's directly from Samsung with trade-ins, or you go down the refurbished route. But I get it, not everybody wants to go down that route, and they might just want to pick up a brand new phone. And at this price, this phone is perfectly good. But let me know down in the comments, have you been using the S25 FE, or are you thinking about picking it up? Let me know. And if you've got any questions about the phone, just drop it down in the comments. But thanks for watching. We've got lots of content coming out over the next few months, so I'd appreciate it if you give this video a like, drop me a subscribe. Until next time, cheers.